Okay. Continuing. Again, this is what my character looks like, so... I'm just gonna say the lighting was bad, but we'll get more CGs, so we'll just have to see. Oh. Ba, ba, ba. This is a good song. It's the day I'm starting my tutoring sessions. Today will be music, because any proper lady must learn how to play an instrument like the piano or the harp. I would love to learn the harp. I don't really want to learn the piano, but the harp would be cool to learn. It just seems very difficult. I was never any good at it, and my teacher was insufferable. He'd always berate me for the tiniest mistakes and tell me to do it over again and again. He is a musical genius, renowned for his compositions, and one need not see to recognize your utter lack of musical aptitude. Blind, but not deaf. His hearing is excellent. If he said he could hear, there's a scowl on my face. I wouldn't doubt it for a minute. Hello, I'm Valkii Alderton. I introduce myself regardless. Right, and I've got a lot of work to do, he says with a deep sigh. Glenn uses a cane to navigate his surroundings before he sits down on the sofa, resting his hands on top of it while staring into a blank space. I have to admit, a blind love interest would be very interesting to write. Hard if you do not have somebody around you who is, you know, blind. And you yourself are not blind, because you'd have to go into a lot of research and stuff, but it could be done, and I think that would be very it could make for a very interesting story. You can address me as my lord. We can start with something easy, something a child could play. The piano, I answer for him, remembering this conversation very well. He slightly cocks his head to the side. Precisely, he replies. Let us see what we can achieve with the piano. Please grace us with your presence in front of it. On the other side of the room is a piano that I've practiced on a lot. I sit down in front of it, propping up the floorboard to reveal the keys. Given your probable inexperience with this instrument, let us commence with a single key, one deemed to be well within the grasp of a novice. I press down on the key that he's going to say, A minor. I didn't say you could start yet, he gripes at me, his haughty tone making it painfully clear. I know some of the keys, I explain. It's not my first time playing the piano. Not your first time playing the piano, you say? Did you grace an inn with your talent to play for scraps of morsel? Well, no matter, he says, not allowing me to answer his ignorant statement. We shall start at the basics. But my lord, I already know the basics, I say, wanting to skip going through his teaching again. I start playing a children's song on the piano to demonstrate, short and sweet. When I'm finished, I hadn't noticed that Glenn creeped up on me, staying silent all the way through. He taps his cane against my fingers. The beat was off, he criticizes. I wave his cane away from my hands, narrowing my eyes at him. He then walks around the room before standing in front of the harp. If you say the piano is child's play for you... I never said that. Then let us see how you fare with the harp, he finishes, dismissing me. He's looking to fucking humiliate me. It feels futile telling him I already know some of these instruments, as it's falling on deaf ears. I sit behind the harp and hold my hands to touch the strings. Now, try and... My fingers pluck the strings as I play from memory, a song Glenn taught me. Despite all his shortcomings and being a terrible teacher, this is the one song I rather enjoyed learning. It's serene and tranquil, it calms my nerves. I close my eyes as I go through the song, letting my fingers do the work. I'm still not that great, I miss a note here and there, but I still remember the song by heart. Suddenly, a cane taps my hand, forcing me to stop. That's enough, says Glenn before growing uncharacteristically quiet. Have I impressed him? No. I feel like gloating. He's never been one to hand out compliments. In fact, I don't think I've ever heard anything positive exit his mouth. But perhaps seeing a commoner play the harp shocked him. Where did you learn that song? Yeah, that song was probably, like, not released or special to him in some way. He suddenly asks me. Well, now I have to lie. My mother taught me as a child, I say. Do not speak of such lies. Who taught you this song? Glenn raises his voice. I frown. Just because my mother and I were commoners doesn't mean we couldn't learn music, I respond. Glenn gets closer to me, seemingly agitated. This has no bearing on status. Why did you play this song? Pray tell, how did you come to possess a piece I composed? Oh, it was his own original song? I got completely caught in my lie. My mother really did teach me, I argue back weakly. Maybe she overheard it from someone else? Glenn bites down on his lip, slamming his cane onto the floor. Impossible. This song hasn't been played in years. My grandmother taught it to me, and I haven't wasted my time teaching it to anyone else. So do enlighten me on how you miraculously mastered it on the harp. Mastered? Okay. Well, Glenn, perhaps you shouldn't have taught me to play this before then, if this is such a special song to get worked up about. Perhaps your grandmother knew my mother? I suggest vaguely. But why does it matter? I know how to play a melody on the harp, that is all. Glenn huffs under his breath but calms down, going back to sit down on the sofa, looking deep in thought. If I had known he never taught this to anyone, I wouldn't have played it. I shouldn't have tried to impress people with my knowledge of my previous memories. That was such a stupid mistake I made. I can't have anyone finding out that I went back into time. I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna think that. Perhaps they crossed paths before, he mumbles under his breath. It's not out of the realm of possibility, considering my grandmother used to play for the gatekeepers. That makes me pause. That's something I didn't know. Your grandma personally knew a gatekeeper? I ask. She travelled together in a band and would visit gatekeepers to throw a show, he explains. That melody you played just now was specifically composed for them. I didn't know, I mumble quietly. I guess that's why he taught it to me before, because I'm the gatekeeper. I had no idea he had ties to my lineage as well. I always thought he was just an insufferable musical genius. Did she ever talk about them, what they were like? I ask, curious myself. The gatekeepers, she wrote about them in her journal. Grandmother happened to have quite the close circle with one of them. It's amazing to hear there were several of them when I'm the last surviving member. What did she write about? I ask. Glenn gives me a deadpan look as though I'm dim-witted. Perhaps she wrote about performing a dance on a rainbow and finding a pot of gold, or perhaps vivid tales of swashbuckling adventures, stealing piles of treasure and burying them on a distant, unreachable island. I don't know. What do you think she wrote? I gulp when I realize my mistake. He was born blind. He obviously can't have read the journal. It's just, I'm the last one. I don't know much about the past, I confess. Glenn taps his cane onto the floor in a rhythm, his expression softening. Would you like to know? Yes, I cry out immediately, unable to contain my enthusiasm. You don't need to shout, I can hear you just fine, he complains, rubbing his ears as if I've just subjected him to unbearable noise. Sorry, my lord, I apologize. I was just really excited to learn more about my history. There's not much literature available on the subject. Some literature has survived, he says, not that it's been of any use to me. Where can I find it then? I inquire, genuinely curious. The Rosenfeld Monastery, of course, he replies. They used to be quite enthusiastic about researching the otherworld and the elusive gatekeepers. Wow, I say, I had no idea you knew so much about them. This is not something he shared with me before. This is good. I can use this. Rosenfeld Monastery. I need to visit this place. Well, I'm not here to teach you about gatekeepers or the other world. I'm here to teach you music, he says, changing the subject. Now, get back on that harp and play that song again. You did several things wrong before. Yeah, you didn't master it. Or is he saying, like, master it as in you could do it from memory or whatever? Not that you're actually playing it masterfully. I smile to myself. I can't believe I had a positive interaction with my tutor, Glenn van der Sand. I always dreaded his lessons. This is one of the rare times Varitus dines with me. It's only because he wishes to discuss my progress with my tutors, of course. Not a single sign of musical talent detected in her bones, Varitus quotes out loud. Recommend is to teach her bi-weekly. Recommended, sorry. That seems par for the course. Glenn said the same thing about me last time. That's something we have to rectify. Can't have you sully my name by not being able to entertain the guests. Yes, his all-important guests, who I almost never get to see because he holds me up in my room as much as he can. I will try my best at the lessons, I say, putting on a fake smile. It seems things didn't go as planned at the Kotov's residence either, he drawls out. He's referring to the tea party I had with Chelsea, and instead of the maid spilling tea on me, it landed on her. They were openly mocking me, I say honestly. I was invited to be ridiculed, and they had planned to spill tea on me. And? Varitus urges, like he doesn't care in the slightest that I was only invited to be mocked. Do you not care they were only going to mock me? As I've mentioned before, Valkii, grow a thicker skin. If you want to survive in society, you must become just as ferocious as they are, and that's what I did. She got tea on her, so fuck you. There's no arguing with this man. We stay silent for a while as we finish up our dinner, but something has been on the back of my mind. Ever since my lesson with Glenn, I've been dying to visit the monastery. I also know I need Varitus's permission to move about. There's something I wish to ask, though, I start. You said I could visit a historian knowledgeable about the otherworld. I have found one and would like permission to visit. Varitus sighs deeply. Where is this place? He asks, bored. Rosenfeld Monastery, I answer. Take the carriage tomorrow. Get back before sunset. That's all the free time I'm allotting you. Free time? He's like, you can only have that much free time. All the other time, you gotta spend in your room. I clasped my hands together on my lap, finding myself giddy that he gave me permission. I could finally find out about the other world. Yippee! The horses whine as I enter their field of vision. It feels slightly awkward to be facing EEYOK again after that one incident in the bathroom. It was quite the embarrassing feat, and whereas he was much of a gentleman as he could be, I can't help but feel my heart rate increasing thinking back on that moment. EEYOK is taking a break from his morning training regime, it seems. He's not wearing his usual uniform, probably because it was getting too hot, and is washing his face using the water from the nearby water well. Alright, Valkii, just approach him casually, like nothing happened. I take a second before announcing myself, simply watching him go through this mundane process. Mandy is supposed to tell him I need a carriage and that we're heading out, but I really want to do it myself. He's a fucking dragon. He was a lizard in James's route. He's a dragon. EEYOK then removes his shirt and unloads the bucket of water over his head, submerging himself. I take a step back. Now would not be now it would be inappropriate to approach him. I look like a voyeur. I'm about to turn away out of embarrassment until I notice the markings on his well-toned torso. Oh, he's got those birthmarks on there too. They're so strange. They look like animal stripes. No, this is inappropriate. Lady Valkii? EEYOK calls out, finally noticing me standing next to the stables. Our eyes meet, and in an instant I feel the heat in my cheeks increase. Even EEYOK looks flustered as he looks to quickly grab his shirt from the dirt. Fidgeting with the shirt, he pulls it over his head until it clings to his wet torso. Sorry, I wasn't presentable, he apologizes. No, I apologize for disturbing you, I immediately reply. Both of us say nothing, inspecting the dirt below us instead. Is there something I can help you with? He finally asks, running a hand through his wet hair, sweeping it away from his eyes. Can we get that? Sprite, please? For a brief second, I'm mesmerized by his actions. Yes, I came here to tell you to prep the carriage. We're going to visit the Rosenfeld Monastery today. Very well, I'll get everything ready. He then lowers his head, his shoulders slouching. Your Grace, he starts hesitating. You don't need to come all the way out here to... I gaze at him with large eyes, waiting to hear the end of that sentence. I know what he's going to say, to tell me not to bother coming over and send Mandy instead. But he interrupts himself, covering his mouth with his hand, and his eyes avoid meeting mine. Never mind me, he mumbles. When will you be ready? I ask softly. Should be ready to leave within 15 minutes, he says. I nod at him, then lift up my skirt to turn around. Your Grace, wait, he says, stopping me in my tracks. I study him closely. He appears a bit preoccupied today, not as composed as usual. Perhaps our incident in the bathroom is still lingering in his mind, just as it is in mine. The servant responsible for locking you in the bathroom, he begins. I discovered it was a maid named Daisy. Huh, it wasn't Mandy. I could have sworn I heard the lock turn when she exited. He shakes his head. At breakfast, their chatter was quite indiscreet. They openly boasted about their actions. Hooray, all the servants of the house eat together, including EEYOK. They contemplated when to let you out. I take in a breath. I know what happened, but it still stings to hear them being so open about it. I see. It was Mandy that got up to free you until I informed her you were already in your room. A small flicker of warmth for Mandy arises within me. It was fortunate that you alerted me about their plans beforehand. This is no way to treat a lady. And just like that, my flame for EEYOK grows too. It would have been more fortunate had you closed your eyes, I jest with him. EEYOK's eyes widen, his lips stretched into a thin line. My apologies, I should have gone inside blindfolded. Blindfolded? You need not go that far, I say, chuckling slightly. Still, my rash actions placed you in such a position. It was my mistake, he grumbles. You were only doing what you thought was right, and I thank you for that, I say, smiling slightly at him. EEYOK puts a hand on his chest, staring at the dirt underneath his boots with the slightest smile on his face. It suits him, this soft expression. I will return soon, I announce, getting ready to leave. EEYOK nods and bows in front of me. After a couple of hours of riding in the carriage, we've arrived at Rosenfeld Monastery. It lies a little ways outside of the city of Kleiner. Or Clanner, we still don't know. One of the clerks escorts us to a room after EEYOK announced my title, and I asked for a historian who had information about the other world. As I step inside, the scent of ancient parchment envelops me, as if this place holds forgotten knowledge. A tall man stands hunched over a table full of scrolls, his vivid red hair being quite striking from a distance. The clerk accompanying me— oh no, it's fucking Kane. Or, Ben? Who was it in James's room? Ben? Can't remember. The clerk accompanying me clears his throat politely, breaking the scholar's concentration. Sir Bilius! It was Bill, right? Sir Bilius, may I introduce Lady Valkii Alderton, the fiancée of Duke Howell. Bilius looks up from the table, his eyes immediately zoning in on me. That must mean the gatekeeper, he utters in a mixture of astonishment and reverence. The other clerk takes his leave, leaving us in the room, and EEYOK remains a vigilant presence in the background. His watchful eyes provide a sense of security in this unfamiliar territory. Yes, that would be me. Never did I imagine I could meet a true gatekeeper in my lifetime. What a marvel indeed, he says, sounding genuinely astonished. I have so many questions for you, he says. As do I interject. I don't know much about my history nor the other world, so I'm here to gather information. His eyes shift around, his eyebrows lowering, caution etched onto his face. Sorry, I had to take another screenshot. Don't let the Empire hear you say that, he speaks in a hushed tone. Most of the other world's records were burned and deemed illegal a century ago. Is there nothing left? I inquire, feeling a sense of desperation. The Empire's decree has left little trace of your heritage. To admit possessing any such book in my collection is to risk high treason, he replies, his expression guarded. So you have them, you just can't admit it. I give him a long, hard look, searching his eyes for the hidden subtext. It feels as if he's holding something back. Are you implying you possess such forbidden knowledge? I ask carefully. He shrugs nonchalantly. I cannot confirm nor deny that. Sir Bilius, look, I only recently discovered my supposed lineage to the gatekeepers, and I know so little. Please, I implore you, if you possess any information, share it with me. I suppose I can't deny the genuine gatekeeper her right to her heritage, he muses out loud. Your Grace, he says, approaching me with newfound trust. I'm certain the Empire still seeks your demise, so any revelations I offer must remain confined within these walls. He looks over at EEYOK, who stands unwavering, eavesdropping on our exchange. Do you trust him? Bilius asks in a whisper. With my life, I answer without a beat. Please, I'm desperate for answers. Very well, sit down, Your Grace. He gestures towards one of the chairs at the table. He looks a little frantic himself, like he wasn't prepared to meet with me today, which is true, of course. I did drop by rather unannounced. Is there anything in particular you'd like to know? He asks, sitting on the opposite side of the table. I want to know if there's any way I can verify that I am indeed the gatekeeper. Bilius props his chin up with his hand deep in thought. Sorry, my throat started effing up again. I'm afraid I don't know any other method. I say, trying not to let the disappointment weigh too heavily on me. But shall I interest you in the history of the gatekeepers instead? He offers with a kind smile. I'll take anything I can get, I reply. Most of the information has been passed down through generations, relying on oral accounts, which can sometimes be prone to inaccuracies or embellishments. I urge you to approach it with a discerning mind, he advises. Understood, I say, nodding. Long ago, our world was one. Through some unknown event, our world split into two, the other world and ours. No one knows how they came to exist in the first place, but the individuals present at its inception underwent a transformation themselves. The gatekeepers were created, I ask. That's right. They could create a bridge between the two worlds. They were called gates. With these, people could freely pass over and dragons from the other world roamed our Earth. Wait, did you say create? I can create a gate? I say out loud, surprised by the information. So EEYOK is a dragon, and we're the only person who can create a gate for him to get back home, maybe? I don't know. Maybe that's why he likes us. And why we're important. No. Well, maybe. I don't know. Let's just keep going. I could be thinking into it way too much. As far as I know, it's always been said the gatekeepers guarded the gates and could close them, but I can actually make a gate myself. Create or simply open, that is a mystery even to me, he admits. Then where did dragons come from if initially there was only one world? I ask, confused. I believe, much like the gatekeepers, some humans underwent a transformation into dragons, he reveals. But knowledge about those ancient times is scarce. It all dates back thousands of years. I look down at my lap. Why did the Empire kill all the gatekeepers? I ask, my lip quivering. Bilius shoots his index finger up in the air. Ah yes, the 100-year-old question. Why does the Empire want you dead? Yes, that's what I cannot fathom. I don't understand their fear. With two worlds existing side by side, conflict and conquest were inevitable. The Empire, we believe, feared that the dragons would become too powerful and seize control of our world, he explains. Bilius tilts his head thoughtfully. In essence, they acted out of blind paranoia, even before the other world could entertain the notion of an invasion. So the other world never intended to take over. Indeed, the Empire merely perceived it as a possibility. They chose to eliminate the supposed threat before it could even materialize, he replies. They killed so many people, all because of a paranoid precaution, I say with a deep sigh. Bilius points at me. And now, with you resurfacing as the true gatekeeper, the prospect of reopening the gates becomes a very real concern for them. The Empire must be fuming to learn you're alive. In that moment, I grasped the magnitude of my situation, one I never learned about previously. I was the gatekeeper, paraded around as a trophy. Due to Varitus's protection, no one would dare harm me in fear of having the nobles turn on the Empire as retaliation. But I'm part of something much, much bigger than I could ever imagine. Bilius then leans back in his chair, sighing. That's about all the information we have about the gatekeepers in the other world. He then taps his fingers on the table, remembering something. Actually, there is still one scroll in our collection that transcribes some details about dragons. It may hold clues worth exploring, he suggests. Bilius rises from his seat. There's a sense of urgency to his actions. Wait here, I'll retrieve the scroll. He briskly leaves the room, letting me mull over the information dump I've been subjected to. But before I lose myself to my thoughts, EEYOK appears next to me. Whatever may come, I won't let the Empire harm you, he vows. Oh, you frightened me, I say, shaking my head, but thank you, Sir EEYOK. It's dawning on me now why the Empire is so determined to end my life. I never stood a chance, did I? I muse out loud. I never would have been able to run away from Varitus. I need his protection. Do you think I could have run off without anyone ever knowing? I ask, grinning sadly at EEYOK. EEYOK's silence speaks volumes. I honestly don't know why they care so much. I have no knowledge of how to open a gate. My life would have gone on blissfully unaware of my gatekeeper heritage. Bilius returns in a hurry, holding an old-looking scroll under his robe. He places it down on the table and unravels it. Here it is. Let me see. He starts scanning the parchment for information. His finger lands on a particular passage. There, a way to verify you're the gatekeeper. He reads the passage out loud. For when the blood of the gates runneth through the scales of a dragon, it reacts with a spark. When we touched EEYOK, I want to touch him again to see what happens. Because again, she could just be like, you know when you have a bias already? Where it's like, I'm a commoner, he must be disgusted by me. Everybody else is disgusted by me because I'm a commoner. And so that look on EEYOK's face must also be disgust. You cannot fathom another reason as to why he would look disdainful or disgusted, but you could just be reading that wrong because of your bias, because of what you're experiencing from literally everybody else. It's like, why would he be any different? He's making a similar face to these other people when really you're just not seeing it clearly. Because, you know, when there are those like pictures you can look at where people are having like micro expressions and you can tell typically, unless you can't, for whatever reason, typically you can tell what emotion they are portraying, like anger or like happiness, whatever. Those you can tell. But if you're biased, because you're not biased when you're just looking at pictures of random people, if you're biased, you're probably gonna think what you're gonna think because of your bias. So I think that it was not disgust he was feeling. It was something different altogether. Or maybe it was disgust and he is disgusted for whatever reason that we just don't know yet. But it's not to do with her being a commoner, clearly. And I don't even think it's because he doesn't like her. Maybe he's pretending. I don't know. This route could go in any direction, you know? I look at him a bit confuzzled. Why would that be in this? Was that left in there accidentally? Is that a real word? I'm looking it up. Confuzzled. Confuzzled is the UK's largest furry convention. It is a charming portmanteau, cleverly merging confused and puzzled. I don't think it was put into the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, was it? I just keep getting the furry con coming up. That's hilarious. I look at him a bit confuzzled, because, yeah. What does that even mean? Lady Valkii, it means your blood reacts to dragons. You can verify your lineage this way. That's intriguing and all, but there are no dragons around to test this theory, I remark. Bilius chuckles awkwardly. No, I suppose you're right. However, the passage mentions scales. You don't necessarily need to encounter a live dragon. A single scale would suffice. A dragon scale? I echo. Sadly, most dragon scales disintegrate into dust over time. It's in their nature, much like how we shed our dead skin and it returns to the earth. I guess I shouldn't have gotten my hopes up. However, I believe there may be some collectors out there that keep dragon scales in pristine condition, Bilius notes. Like a trophy? I ask. Sorry, cat was being bad. What else do nobles do with their wealth and leisure time? Bilius replies. He's got a fair point there. High society loves to collect the extraordinary, bizarre, and rare, all to showcase their wealth. It's why their houses are adorned by paintings they couldn't care less about. You don't happen to know anyone with such a scale, do you? I ask, slightly hopeful. Bilius shakes his head. Alas, I am a scholar, not one immersed in society and its trends. I'm afraid you'll have better luck seeking answers within your own circle. I suppose you're right. Your Grace, Bilius speaks up. You're always welcome to visit the monastery should you desire more information discreetly. I flash him a smile. That's very kind of you. I've gathered all I need for today, and I must return home. Thank you so much for your time, Sir Bilius. He gives me a polite bow. I promise you I'll have more information to share should you come and visit again. I shall try to research as much as possible about the other world. I'd appreciate it, I say, rising from my seat. We bid our goodbyes and take the carriage back home. I'll go another. Although I need to feed the cat, so I will pause. I'm still working out, like, the quirks, of the new OBS. I'm still trying to, like, because the thing is that my OBS preview is on my other monitor and it's small. It doesn't cover like my whole monitor, so it's like a tiny window. So that froze. Why? So I don't think my webcam looks that big, but it is. So I keep making it smaller because I don't want it to be that big. I like it when you can see the game, you know. So I'm just gonna try and get happy with it eventually. And I got some tea. It's a multi-biscuit brew, and this is how do you want to do this? It's a critical role thing. Vox Machina will always be my favorite. Well, I can't say that, but yeah. My head feels so heavy with all this new information I've acquired yesterday. Despite delving into the history of the gatekeepers in the other world, I cannot know for sure it even applies to me. At least that is what the others told me when I was executed, that I was a fraud. I'm pretty sure they were lying. I don't know. Why would you believe that? Varitus appears convinced of my gatekeeper identity for now, but something will happen in the future that will change his conviction, leading to my demise. Or maybe somebody did lead him to believe that it was a lie. My cat is trying to get out my door, but it keeps closing the door. No, he got out. I'm trapped between an empire that I can like see out the corner of my eye, by the way. I'm trapped between an empire that will actively hunt me and a duke that will eventually execute me. Both will lead to the same thing. I sigh loudly. I should think about the things I can control at the moment, like preparing for the upcoming Hunters Fair, which was an absolute social disaster for me, or finding a dragon scale, if one still exists. Bilius did say I should inquire in my social circle, as it was likely a noble might have one in their collection. Your Grace, I say out loud. I direct my gaze over towards Varitus, who's been quietly reading a newspaper this morning, as one does. What is it now? Was your excursion yesterday not sufficiently captivating? It was fine. I was merely thinking about something. Have I given you the impression I care about your thoughts? Unless it's something important, you can keep them to yourself, he says in a decidedly bored tone. This man always seems to know how to get on my nerves. Since we're getting married, I thought it was only appropriate that I receive an engagement gift. Varitus glances up from the paper and casually tosses it onto the table. A mere commoner that didn't even come with her own dowry is asking me to give her an engagement gift, he asks rhetorically. You speak as if I had a choice in the engagement, I retort back. But clearly I hold some importance to you, given your willingness to marry me. Of course, were you not the gatekeeper, you would never have stepped foot inside Howell Manor, he replies nonchalantly. Then there is no need for a dowry, I point out. Yet you demand the gift, he counters. I find myself seething beneath the surface. It's a token to impress the other nobles. After all, we want to keep your name in good standing. Varitus leans back in his chair and picks up his newspaper again. Pray tell, what did you have in mind? A sapphire necklace? Good, I convinced him. A dragon's scale, I declare. Varitus pauses, giving me a strange and questioning look. A dragon's scale? I'm the gatekeeper, it is only fitting, no? And what purpose would a scale serve? Wear it as a brooch? Perhaps, though I was thinking we could turn it into a necklace. I sense him slipping away from the idea, so I try to appeal to his ego. Imagine the sole noble possessing the means to adorn their fiancé with a rare item like a dragon scale. No one else could match such a remarkable piece. He mulls it over in silence. At the very least, it would serve as a constant reminder of your gatekeeper heritage, he mumbles to himself. Very well, he says, and beckons his manservant to come over. Varitus whispers some words to the servant, who then departs through one of the hidden servant entrances. Satisfied that I managed to persuade him, I lean back and continue with my breakfast. To confirm my true identity, securing the dragon scale is of utmost importance as of this moment. I must have it. What if he was like, go get some bullshit saying that looks like a dragon scale, you know? And then she touches it and she's like, oh, I'm not a gatekeeper because it doesn't work. Like, I'm not feeling anything. Although, wouldn't she feel something when she touched EEYOK? If that was the case, I don't know. I'm questioning too many things, I think. First things first, I must prepare for the upcoming Hunters Fair. The last time I attended, I was not only mocked for my incompetence in horse riding, I ended up tumbling into the mud thanks to a runaway stallion. This time, I am determined to change the narrative. I must learn how to ride a horse properly. And who best to teach me other than EEYOK, who is not only my personal retainer but also cares for the horses? Surely he can teach me how to ride. Good day, Sir EEYOK, I announced loudly after entering the grounds. I've learned from my past mistake of lingering too long before revealing myself. I wouldn't want to be caught seeing him shirtless again. Not that I long to see him without a shirt. Such thoughts would be improper of me. Yet I must admit, his well-trained form was very pleasing to the eye. No, Valkii, focus. EEYOK, who had been feeding the horses, appears in front of me. Your Grace, he greets me politely. Are you intending to go somewhere again today? I shake my head at him. No, I'm here with a request, I tell him. There's a Hunters Fair in a couple of weeks. Yes, I will be attending this event with you, he says. Are you worried that me participating in the night swordsmanship contest would distract me from protecting you? Oh, I exhale. I didn't realize you were participating in the hunt too. Not the hunt, Your Grace. I'll be taking part in a side event that showcases the night swordsmanship. And, as if he wants to make sure I know, he adds, the nobles love seeing who has the best knight under their wing. I honestly cannot recall such an event from last time. I was too busy trying to control my horse. No, that's not what I'm worried about. I drawl out my words and avert my gaze, slightly embarrassed to have to admit this. I don't know how to ride a horse. I was wondering if you could teach me. EEYOK's gaze lands upon me, but I can't read it. He seems to be formulating a response in the most possible polite manner. That is only expected of such a lady as yourself. That's a nice way of saying commoner women couldn't ride horses. I can schedule a riding session with you tomorrow. Make sure to wear proper attire. I feel the weight lift off my shoulders. He's going to teach me! Very well, we shall start at dawn. I want to get in as much practice as I can, I say, steadfast in my conviction. I will master the art of horseback riding. I doubt it somehow. Good luck. Saying I'm going to master horseback riding and actually doing it are two completely different things. I'm wearing the proper attire, the long dress, the snug jacket, the gloves, the small boots, yet standing in front of an actual horse somehow strikes fear within me. Memories of that stallion that knocked me over come rushing back. Perhaps I've unknowingly developed an apprehension towards horses ever since that event. EEYOK remains expressionless as he stands next to me, attending to the horse's saddle. Place your right foot here on the stirrup, then with your other arm hold onto the saddle and hoist yourself up, he instructs me. EEYOK extends his hand. I'll help you up. As I reach out for his hand, EEYOK keeps such an intense gaze on it that I wonder if there's a stain on my gloves. What's wrong? I ask, weary of his intense eyes. Nothing, Your Grace, EEYOK shakes his head. I was merely ensuring you have your gloves on. The reins can be quite harsh on bare hands. I see, I say absent-mindedly. Here, he says, and extends his hand once more. My gloved hand finds its place in his as I attempt to raise my foot to reach the stirrup. However, my height works against me, and EEYOK quickly retrieves a step stool to aid me. Use this, he says, offering his hand once more. With his support, I manage to hook my foot through the iron stirrup. EEYOK gives me a gentle push as I pull myself onto the horse, holding onto the saddle tightly. I sit sideways with my feet on one side of the saddle. It's much higher than I remember. The horse moves and whinnies slightly beneath me. Now, take the reins in your hands, says EEYOK as he grabs them for me. Just hold them for now, don't pull on them, he warns me. I'll be leading the horse, so you need not worry about steering. I take in a deep breath to steel myself and hold on to the reins. Still, it's a daunting experience. Now, when you want the horse to start walking, gently push your heel against its side. Cautiously, I dig my heel against the side of the horse. Immediately, it moves forward, almost throwing me off balance. EEYOK leads the horse around in a circle around the grounds, whilst I struggle to hold on for dear life. You can grab the front of the saddle for balance, EEYOK notes once he sees how stiff I am. Trying, I say awkwardly, reaching for the horn-like part of the saddle. Riding sideways is quite uncomfortable, not to mention my clothes are rather constricting. It's harder to breathe in this. How do I stop it? I ask, a hint of fear creeping into my voice. You lean back into your saddle and slightly pull back on the reins while you say, "Whoa," to the horse. Whoa, I chant, inexperienced, and pull back on the reins. The horse shakes its head, seemingly ignoring my command. EEYOK steps in to soothe the animal. "Whoa there, whoa," he whispers, calming the horse down and bringing it to a stop. EEYOK looks up at me and I brace myself for a scolding. "It's difficult to lean backwards when sitting sideways," I grumble, making an excuse. "It's alright, this is your first time, no?" EEYOK says instead. "Yes," I say, lying. "The more relaxed you are, the more your horse will listen to you. She can likely sense your tension right now and she's reacting to it." "Well, have you got any ideas on how to relax? It's quite fearsome being up this high on a beast." "Perhaps not calling her a beast, for one," EEYOK suggests. "It certainly looks like one to me. It's bigger than I am and could trample all over me if it wants." "Let's try it again. Instruct her to walk by using your heel." EEYOK continues to guide me. Once more, I get the horse to walk whilst EEYOK leads it around in a circle. However, when it's time to stop, the horse refuses to listen to me and EEYOK has to intervene. "Gosh, this is so darn difficult," I complain. "If only I could..." Feeling irritated by my sitting position, I decide to adjust it by propping myself up and swinging my other leg over the saddle. Sitting up straight, I let out a sigh of relief. That's much better. EEYOK, however, seems to disapprove. "Your Grace, that's not a sitting position for a lady, it's for a man." "Well, whoever told ladies to sit like this? It was impeding my ability to control the horse." EEYOK pauses, considering my response. "I don't know either. Back in my hometown, ladies rode just like the gentlemen did," he says. His mention of his hometown piques my curiosity. It's perhaps the first time he's offered a glimpse into his personal life, which I know so little about. "Your hometown? Back in Grindalia?" I inquire. I've always known EEYOK was a foreigner, what with his distinct looks and his slight accent. "Yes, Your Grace." I'm not giving him a slight accent. "Grindalia didn't impose such strict etiquette rules for women riding horses," he replies. "Seems like I should be moving to Grindalia," I joke. "The weather is quite pleasant there this time of year," he says, reminiscing with a slight smile on his face. His smile softens his features, but I quickly remind myself not to stare. I squeeze my heels into the horse, telling it to start walking. Then, after making a circle, I lean back into my saddle and tug on the reins. "Whoa there, please stop," I say. And miraculously, the horse listens and comes to a stop. I feel my face light up and I turn to face EEYOK, grinning widely. "She stopped!" "That she did, Your Grace," EEYOK acknowledges. "See? It was the seating," I point out. "I believe so too," he replies with a hint of a smile. "Can't believe any lady knows how to ride sideways. It's impossible," I huff. There's still more left to teach," he says. "Of course, show me," I say, eager to continue. EEYOK proceeds to teach me the basics of horseback riding now that I can properly sit on the horse. He instructs me on stopping the horse, steering, and trotting. However, we quickly put a stop to trotting when it starts making me nauseous. In fact, I feel increasingly unwell. The sun, combined with my layers of clothing, causes me to sweat profusely. "Your Grace," EEYOK calls out for me. "Are you alright?" I fan my face a little for some relief. "I think I need a break," I tell him honestly. EEYOK nods and teaches me how to dismount the horse as well. But as soon as I get off the horse, I almost collapse. EEYOK is quick on his feet and holds onto my waist. "Lady Valkii, are you okay?" he asks, concern etched into his tone. I feel a bit faint. It's very hot." EEYOK studies me carefully and his eyes focus on my chest. It's improper for him to stare, but my faintness leaves me too weak to reprimand him. "Your jacket, take it off, now," he tells me. "Excuse me?" I ask, slightly taken aback. "You can't sweat through all those layers on your body. Take it off before you faint." Too weak to argue, I unbutton my jacket and shed it off, feeling a cool breeze touch my neck. I sigh in relief, feeling a lot better already. EEYOK takes the jacket off my hand, still staring at me with worried eyes. "Let me get you some water," he says and runs to the water well. In no time, he returns with a flask of water and hands it to me. I gratefully drink, quenching my thirst. "How's that? Feeling better?" he asks after I've stopped drinking. "Much. Thank you, Sir EEYOK," I thank him. He exhales a deep breath, visibly relaxing. It wouldn't be the first time a lady fainted because she was wearing too many layers, he says. I bring the flask to my lips again whilst EEYOK's words play in my mind, fainting to overheating due to too many clothes. I take another sip of water. That could have led to an actual heat stroke. I've seen old men and women die like this. Then I stop drinking water as something hits me. Old men and women, but babies are vulnerable to this too. Chelsea's baby. It was too warm. I know exactly what the baby was wearing, because it came out of the tailor shop I used to work at. Too many layers. The baby died of a heat stroke because its nightgown was too thick. I thrust the flask back at EEYOK's chest. I've got an idea, I say out loud. Pardon me? EEYOK asks, confused, holding onto the flask. Training's over for today. We'll continue another time, I tell him as I march away from the grounds. There's something I must do. Sorry, I wanted to finish my tea because it was just going to get cold. Because it's not like I'm playing a game where I get to pause and talking. So I can, like, you know, take a sip. I'm constantly talking. Which will mean it'll be nice for me to, like, play a game where I'm not constantly talking. That's why I always need a break, but I have so many, like, visual novels that I want to play. I think I'll talk about that. I don't really want to make a separate video just for that. Maybe I will, though. I don't know. Okay. With the idea firmly planted in my mind, I set my thoughts into motion, sketching and planning. Here I am, standing once again in my old workplace, a sizable scroll nestled under my arm. Despite Varitus's reservations and EEYOK's concerns for my safety, I ended up convincing them I wanted to visit because I was feeling homesick. My plan is too good to pass up. Valkii! Kim's voice rings out with genuine delight as she catches sight of me. I wear a big smile on my face, always feeling at home when I see her. Kim, hello, I greet her. It feels like I haven't seen you in ages. How's it going in that mansion? Have you attended any fancy parties yet? I raise my hand up to stop her chatter. I'm doing all right, I tell her, but I'm here for business. Kim playfully pats down her apron and stands a bit taller. Well, what is it? I take out the scroll and unravel it on the counter in front of her. It's a design, I say as I inspect my sketch and patterns I've drawn. Took me a while to get the patterns just right, I continue. These look like... Kim studies the design closely. Baby clothes, I finish for her, specifically their nightgown. It's not as frilly as they usually are, she notes. That's the intention, I agree. I want to create a baby nightgown that's comfortable, breathable, and not overly rigid. Interesting. Who's it for? A noble lady? Silk would be perfect for that, Kim suggests. No, I want it to be made in linen. It offers better airflow compared to silk, which can retain moisture. Got it. You want me to make it, right? Kim asks. I nod with anticipation. My aim is to have a prototype ready for Chelsea's party for her newborn infant in a few months. This would serve as a compelling showcase for my design. If it garners interest among the noble ladies, requests for their own gowns could follow suit. I will have to patent the design and get tailors to produce them more readily. This way I can secure a steady source of income for myself, no longer having to rely on Varitus's wealth. Sadly, I lack funds. One must have a sizable amount of wealth in order to grow it. I need a substantial investment. Please keep this confidential, I emphasize to Kim. Especially keep it from Mr. Anderson, I add with a trace of disdain. Don't worry, I'll keep this a side project no one knows about. When do you need it ready? Before July, I reply, remembering the birthday's birth month. The baby's birthday's birth month, okay. Kim nods at me with a confident air. Got it, I'll have it ready by then. I pay Kim the amount she is owed for her services so that she can start to work on the gown. Once a prototype is ready, I can start looking to attract investors so I can produce even more. But who will invest in the gatekeeper? High society's watchful gaze has subjected me to ridicule and mockery, especially when Varitus wasn't present. Sometimes he even seemed to encourage such behavior. I'll need to find someone who either doesn't know I'm the gatekeeper or doesn't care. I briefly entertained the idea that Grindalia, our neighboring country, wouldn't have heard of me, so I'd have better luck finding investors over there. But most of all, I need to keep this all under wrap. Varitus can't know what I'm doing behind his back. Even today, I managed to visit my old workplace under the guise of homesickness, concealing the true nature of my intentions. He can never know. With Kim working on a prototype, a newfound sense of control settles over my life. It's as though I can finally pause and take a much-needed breather, releasing all this tension. I hadn't realized how on edge I've been all this time, trying to secure my own safety. Hopefully all goes well with the gown. Today, once again, I find myself having breakfast with Varitus. True to his usual demeanor, he remains absorbed in his newspapers, his silence enveloping the room. It always makes me uncomfortable.
Oh.
Valkii, he suddenly calls out. I tense slightly at the mention of my name. I must regretfully inform you that the particular item you requested shall not be bestowed upon you as an engagement gift, he says slowly. The dragon's scale. I mask my disappointment with a composed expression. Is it that acquiring one has proven impossible? Have they become entirely extinct? I ask. No, there exists at least one such scale, yet it is within the possession of Baron Kingsley. No verifiable existence of any other scale has come to light. Could you not consider the possibility of negotiating for it? I suggest, wanting my hands on the scale. I have no intention of stooping so low as to beg for a baron's possession, Varitus huffs. No, the sapphire necklace will suffice. It shall arrive by tomorrow, he says, flicking his hand at me in a dismissive way. I chew on my bottom lip. All right, this isn't the worst news I could have received. In fact, it's positive news. Varitus has confirmed the existence of a dragon scale in the world, a revelation that offers a glimmer of hope. I don't have to own it, I just need to borrow it for a few seconds. Perhaps an alternative approach is viable. I could attempt to sway Baron Kingsley into granting me permission to examine the scale at his estate. This Baron Kingsley, I start, looking down at my lab. May he also be in attendance at the forthcoming Hunters' Fair? Most of society will be joining the hunt, Varitus answers, uninterested. And you will too, he makes note of it. Yes, I nod agreeing. I will be there. I'm going to have to find this Baron Kingsley at the fair and convince him to let me inspect the scale. Dun 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 dun. Wait, why doesn't it do that anymore? Does it do that? Wait. It's not that far down. Background. PGM. I don't know. Anyway, I will see you in the next one.